This question is asking you to find the inverse of the following logarithmic equation. Do note that this problem starts with a logarithm. We're asked to find the inverse, so we should already know that your inverse equation should be an exponential equation because those are inverses. So we have two methods. The first method is the list method, where you're listing out all the steps that you're doing to your x. I mean, here's where x is. It's inside these parentheses, which are inside this logarithm. So if you were to list out your steps, you'd say, all right, well, the first step is subtraction of 1 from that x, and then you're doing the log base 14 of that stuff, and then you are adding 61. Those are your three steps. Right, and so those are the steps that you're going to undo in the opposite order, which means your first step is going to be to subtract 61. Then you're going to undo your logarithm with an exponential. The base is 14, so it's going to be the base of 14 in your exponential, and then you're going to finish by adding 1. Right, so those are the steps that you're all going to do to x. So you can just kind of do them as you go. So now my inverse equation, I start with x. I leave myself a little bit of space here, so I have x, and then you're going to subtract 61. You do 14 to the power of that stuff, so that stuff becomes the exponent, and then at the very end you add 1. And that simply would be your exponential equation, which is the inverse. Right? And so that would be your solution. Note that it is now an exponential equation, where the x is in the exponent, and we undid the steps in the opposite order. Right? Notice that inside here is x minus 61, not x plus 1, because that's what a lot of students do. They'll take this minus and they'll just switch it to a plus. They'll take that plus and just switch it to a minus, but the order has to completely switch. We have also mentioned the list method, right? And so if you have your list method, what that means is that you are going to, your switch method is your other method that we have, right? So if I'm going to make a line here so you can see the two different methods, where you switch your x and y, because we know that that happens when you're switching over to your inverse, and then you just solve by undoing. So you want to get your y alone, so you're going to subtract 61 first. You're left with the logarithm, exponentialize it, or do it to the power, where you have a base of 14, that cancels out the logarithm, and you finish by adding 1, and you notice that you get the same thing, of course, either way, for your solution. So 3 steps here, 1, 2, 3, and so that is how you undo those to find the inverse equation.